Today you're going to learn the Senses Initiated Lucid Dreams technique, or SSILD for short, one of the most impressive lucid dreaming techniques to ever come out of the lucid dream community. So by the end of today's video, you're going to know everything you need to know about the SSILD technique, what SSILD is, how to perform the SSILD technique, and why it's useful for you. But I don't want to waste your time, so let's jump into the technique. So what is SSILD? Well, SSILD is a unicorn among community-created lucid dreaming techniques. It's one of the few techniques that haven't been created by a scientist, but is pretty rational. It's got a good logic behind it. Where did it come from? It was created by a Chinese blogger called CosmicIron in 2011, so it's a relatively young lucid dreaming technique. So you may be wondering, why is SSILD called SSILD when it should be called SSILD? Well, it's a simple reason, the same reason you can't get the Instagram username you want. All the best ones were taken. In fact, SSILD isn't even its real name. Its real name is Taizhuangong, because it comes from China. So how do you perform SSILD? And why do the steps work? Well, let's take a look. Step 1. Go to bed early and set an alarm for 4 to 5 hours and then wake up once the alarm goes off. So we're already off to a good start. Very few techniques from the community suggest going to bed early, but it's one of the best things you can do for inducing lucid dreams. And then the second part of step 1 is a simple sleep interruption tactic, which is common among lucid dreaming techniques. Step 2. When the alarm goes off, get up and get out of bed for 5 to 10 minutes. Go to the bathroom if you need to, freshen up a little bit, but don't wake yourself up too much. So once again, all good advice. Getting out of bed, freshening up a little, all helps to engage your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain required for lucidity. This is basically sleep interruption, or what some people call wake back to bed. But of course you could also use SSILD during a natural awakening, so the sleep interruption part isn't absolutely vital. Step 3, return to bed, find a comfortable position, but not the position you would normally sleep in. This is important because you don't want to fall asleep too quickly. And again, this is all impressive and well thought through. Going back to bed but choosing a different position is very sensible because it keeps your mind that little bit more alert, which is vital for lucidity. Step 4. The quick sensory cycle. The sensory cycle is the core to the SSILD technique. What is it? Well, it's really straightforward. Firstly, you focus on what you can see behind closed eyelids. You're just observing, you don't care what happens, you're just watching and seeing what you can see. Then you move on to hearing, doing the same thing with sounds. Can you hear your heartbeat, the sounds in the room, etc. Then you move on to your body. What can you feel? The weight of your body, the sense of material against your body, doesn't matter, you're just observing. And because this is the quick cycle, you only observe each sense for a couple of seconds before moving to the next one. And once you've completed all 3 senses, you repeat again. And maybe repeat 4 to 5 times. And analysing step 4, well, CosmicIron says this is mostly for relaxation and practice, but the emphasis on passive observation without trying too hard is really sensible and perfect for lucidity. Step 5, the slow cycle. Now, CosmicIron claims this is the most important part of SSILD, but basically it's the same as step 4, only you spend a minimum of 30 seconds observing each sense. And again, this is passive observation. You're not overthinking anything, you're just observing what is happening to each sense. If you get hypnagogia, if you start to hallucinate sounds, if you get distracting thoughts, none of this matters, just passively observe and take note of them. In fact, distracting thoughts or hypnagogia and hallucinations are a good sign. They're your friends, they're signs that REM is incoming. But it's important to remember it doesn't matter what happens during the cycles. You're not looking for something in particular, you're not trying to make something happen, you are watching, you are observing. It really doesn't matter. So let's analyze this, the most important part of the SSILD technique. Why would giving your attention passively to your senses increase your chances of lucidity? Well, there's no hard science behind it, but we can speculate. Basically, you're cycling through various areas of the brain. The visual cortex, the auditory cortex, the somasensory cortex, and you're keeping them all just a little bit active, but at the same time, you're engaging your prefrontal cortex, that self-reflective state, which is vital for lucidity. So it's a case of passive, self-reflective, mental stimulation, focusing on that most important part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, but not limiting it just to that. It's a relaxing process which keeps that part of your mind, the vital part of your mind, just being observant enough as you fall into sleep. Or in simple terms, you're just practicing the state of mind you need to recognize when you're dreaming. It's no more complex than that, and you're doing it through a passive observation. Step 6. Once you've completed 3 to 4 complete cycles, allow yourself to fall asleep. Return to your favorite sleeping position. Don't overthink things. Don't worry if it's going to work. Just allow yourself to fall asleep. And again, this is good advice because SSILD is basically a mental exercise. It's just putting you into the right state of mind. And once you've achieved that correct observant passive state, then you allow yourself to fall asleep quickly. The faster you can fall asleep, the more likely it is that that state of mind will maintain itself into sleep, which will lead to either a regained awareness, dialed, or a maintained awareness, wild. SSILD is based on some pretty solid principles. It's really worth trying, and of course, if you do get lucid in your dream, the next thing you're going to need to know is how to control the dream, how to move around. And you'll find out how to do that in this video just here.